How are you doing? I hope that you're having a great day. So today I'm actually going to be reacting to your comments. So right now, Dream says we all grow out of reading categories, and I know YA isn't for me anymore. There are a lot of similar tropes used, and true, it can be predictable with the YA market being saturated now. Maybe there is a revolution due for the category. Who knows what trends 2022 will hold. Yeah, this is really good. Something I don't like, something I don't really like is this assumption that YA becomes predictable and boring because people grow out of it. From my perspective, at least, I honestly think that is complete BS because you see, YA for me did not become predictable because I grew out of it. What is happening right now is that there is emphasis from both publishers and I don't know, but a lot of the popular books seem to have similar things going for them. And to notice that does not require age. A lot of young people who are reading YA have actually noticed this. And so the problem is not really people growing out of YA and now it looks predictable, but when so many books just have girl who has a lot of special powers, she unlocks those special powers and then she joins the upper class when before no one was paying attention to her or something like that. When so many books follow that, when so many, especially like this Shadow and Bone book, which is currently getting a lot more hype than before, well, guess what is going to happen? People are going to point that out. And it's not because people are men, as this Ashoka, this fella seems to be convinced. It's not because, people are older. It's not because people are now wiser. It's that people have seen such copious amount of this garbage, this familiar trope that has been regurgitated and vomited out over and over and over, but it's simply because people are just noticing this stuff. Okay, so I just wanted to get that across, honestly. Yes. I wanted to really talk about this comment. Oh, Destroyer of the Worlds. N.K. Jemisin is the first author I have seen use the rare yes, second. That's true, man. That's true. She is amazing. She is amazing. I do think that Brandon Sanderson ultimately is better for his output, but yeah, she is generally just amazing. For Udi Kumra, so I just wanted to really, respond to this comment in a video, which is, you need to read the Stormlight Archive sequels. Absolutely. I'm reading the second book right now, and I hope to finish it before May. Hopefully Shallan, because you see, I really don't like Shallan in The Way of Kings. And what I am hearing from a lot of people is that, the second book, book 2, is Shallan focused. I hope to God the second book revitalizes my hope for Shallan, because I think hands down she is the worst character. As for this comment specifically, yes, Dalinar, for instance, even in The Way of Kings, is still defined by themes. In this particular video, when I said it was only Kaladin, it was just off the top of my head, right? So I hadn't spent really a lot of time thinking about it. Yeah. Oh, this of Lauren. It's really sad. She ended up canceling herself. Oh, someone that was so beloved. But she just killed everything, man. She just killed everything by literally hating a 4-star review. Who hates a 4-star review? I will never, ever understand authors and how cocky and greedy they can become. And in fact, how the ego can blind them to a point where they think a 4-star rating is drama. 4-star rating, if you don't give me anything but 5 stars, I will be trashing your name to my 60,000 plus followers. But it is very entertaining. I do have to admit that it is really very entertaining. It is okay. It is, but it's very sad as well. It's honestly very sad. Absolutely, Helena. I absolutely agree. That book sounds awful. Oh yeah, the Onision garbage. Oh my goodness. Yeah, don't read that shit, bro. Oh yeah, I've been looking for this comment. Axis 2084. God, it's gonna be the end of the world by then. We would have all been consumed by flames. Anyhow, let me read this comment. I see the big shift in focus. So basically, Axis is responding to, do authors owe us books, George R. Martin and Patrick Rothfuss? Because a lot of people are shitting on these two authors for being lazy. Are they just lazy? Ah, nice thumbnail. Boom. Anyway, I see the big shift in focus that has happened over. Don't worship these characters / writers. They work for the people who pay them. If they don't deliver, then you don't pay them. Period. I think this is a generally good sentiment to have, honestly, because if you have this sentiment, it means that, okay, so you really loved the first 5 books in A Song of Ice and Fire, or the first 2 books in, the Kingkiller Chronicles. Well, if you have this particular, sentiment or perspective, you don't really bother yourself with these authors. Hey, they didn't deliver. I'm not going to give them my money. I'm just going to move on to another thing. Because you see, there's a lot of books out there that are looking and waiting for your attention. And so I completely agree. George R. Martin has shown a great disrespect for his fans. Those people who made him ridiculously wealthy. Don't act like a bunch of sheep. They damn well owe us books. This one, I do not. You see, we can agree here, but we can disagree here. It's completely fine. Oh yeah, I read anything from Contest Dark. Oh, you poor soul. Oh yeah, the Onision garbage. Absolutely. I don't pay you, but for you reading this, I will. Thank you so much, and I hope you refilm the first part. Yes, actually, it is done. It has been done. I will upload it. Yes, Contest Dark. It has been done. Basically, you see more character-focused fantasy. This is true. This is very, very true. This is remarkably true. In fact, I want, in general, to see more character-focused fiction, just in general, right? Adam says, I feel like a lot of authors, I feel like a lot of authors think that the only way to get an audience, to get audiences to relate to a character is to give them a boring, everyday kind of origin. This is something I have always disagreed with. I think it is mostly cultural because, the stories I was raised with, the stories my mom told me, the stories I've heard from others, from my own culture, every character, Prince of Thorns, every character is really messed up. You cannot tell a story if the protagonist is Harry Potter in my culture, because people will be very confused. The story is supposed to teach a moral, and to teach a moral, the protagonist has to be messed up. There has to be something inherently wrong with them, and then they go on a journey to become better. It's in fact our generic predictable stuff. So when I left my home country, I was basically hit with a culture shock. Like Harry Potter, a lot of these stories have likable protagonists who are basically angels who don't have anything wrong with them. We do have that in my culture, but you see, those are the preachers, and the people around them are always awful, and the people around them outcast them, and so the conviction of the preacher is tested. Okay. But this doesn't really, like, for instance, Fifth Chivalry. I found Fifth Chivalry to be really a very engaging character because of that. But you see, even when that happens, a lot of Western characters, a lot of Western fiction, the character is not actively in this dynamic. Yeah, so this dynamic exists in the Western world, but the character, it's not obvious, you know. So the character might be a preacher, they might be teaching someone else who is a terrible person, but not for the most part. And if they see someone terrible for quite a good punch of the story, they are going to be, either attacking that person or just not interacting with them, which confuses me, because if you're the angel and there's someone being terrible, you have to teach them. Otherwise, I'm gonna be really confused. So for the last 3 years, I really had a lot of culture shock, out here, away from my home country. But lately I have come to actually sort of appreciate the characters that are likable for the sake of just being likable, right? Because oftentimes what modern Western authors end up achieving with that is they take you into the world, they immerse you into the world. And, for instance, I can see from here, you have Jon Snow in a Game of Thrones, you have in The Lord of the Rings, of course, Frodo. That's one of the most beautiful characters I've ever read. Kingkiller Chronicles, the in the flashback, which is literally the whole book. There are not a lot of things wrong with Kavoth morally. Ambrose, a lot of these other characters, he has to fight them. The way it would go in my culture is Kavoth would actively try to teach Ambrose to be a better person. And eventually Ambrose would become a better person. Of course, The Way of Kings is literally full of likable characters. So I think there's a lot of, I used to have a lot of culture shock when it comes to Western characters. It used to confuse the heck out of me to a point where in a Game of Thrones, I thought Jaime Lannister was the protagonist. Harry Potter, I thought, what was that? The Dudley boy, the spoiled brat. And then, later I thought it was Draco. Never mind, I suppose. None of those characters are the protagonists. Anyway. Like some kid living his life, then a wizard takes him on an adventure, basically to make the protagonist origin as close to that of an average person as is possible, and do nothing with it. But in reality, I think a writer should just get one or two aspects of a character to be similar to the way the audience thinks. Like Vin, from Mistborn, anxiety, or Tyrion's lonely as. Loneliness. Sorry, I thought you said lonely as. Yes, both work flawlessly. It means that when the character acts on their feelings, even if it's the wrong thing to do, we as the audience can understand it. Absolutely. I think this makes for much more reliable characters and a more compelling story. I don't know if this is a hot take or not. No, it's not. It's a beautiful take. I love everything you said. Especially if you're really going for a large epic fantasy story, you have to do it like a lot of these characters. Look at these three great authors. They always have one or two aspects. Like I can actually give exact examples. Like as I said before, Jon Snow. A lot of characters in this story. Arya Stark, Jon Snow, Catelyn Stark, Ned Stark, they are so full of likable characters who are not morally flawed, but at the same time, because it's a Game of Thrones, because it's a Song of Ice and Fire, Sansa Stark as well. You have these characters, they're all relatable. And I think it's a smart marketing, angle. You don't want to have this disaster, but you want to have this, which is, you don't want to have this because this is too much. But you also don't want to have, at least in the Western world, if your target is a Western audience, you don't want to have what we have in my culture, because there cannot be a protagonist unless that protagonist is someone terrible. And if they are not terrible, they have to actively be teaching the terrible person to be better. So The villain is not treated as a villain. Instead, they are treated as someone that will be taught as student. So in my culture, it's a very extreme end. But this is also the other extreme end, which a character that is very likable. This one, it seems to be a middle Goldilocks zone. All the great fantasy authors do this. You know, Dalinar has his, Brandon has Dalinar. Of course, Kavoth, he's a very complex character. Of course, in the present, because there are a lot of things that he can be doing to make the world a better place. Instead, he's in the way stone in, and he's not doing anything. So that makes him a complex character. But at the same time, he's very likable. You can easily root for him in the flashbacks, okay? So I think this is a very smart marketing gimmick, especially if your audience is a Western audience. Lepent, I agree. I think it's often too less or too much of the extreme on the social ladder. Yes. Either slowly unknown, insignificant fanboy villager, or at least one who doesn't have much importance to the overall world in the beginning. Oh yeah, Randall Thorpe. Or a really high up in society noble, like a king's brother, Dalinar Kholin, yes. Or a member of the royals. While there is nothing wrong with this, it would be good to see more of just an average, everyday person, maybe a craftsman, maybe a worker, maybe a scholar who gets pissed off and goes on a rampage. Yeah, that would be how we handle it in my home country. Yeah, I'm just a craftsman. Fuck the king. The taxes are too much. Let's kill him. So I think that was about a week ago. Actually, no, that would be a week and a half. So I went too far. I had a lot of fun recording this. I hope that you enjoyed. I'll be seeing you soon.